So, we're here to talk about Disney housing, so let's just get straight into it and find out which housing complex would be best for you. Hi guys, and welcome back to another video. As you can already tell by the title, this video is going to be all on Disney housing complexes. And if you're watching this video, I'm guessing you're either going on a program or you're just trying to research any of the programs just for future reference. So let's get straight into it. I'm going to give you guys a few pros and cons for each of the complexes and then give you my personal opinion from my experiences as well. So we're just going to run through the complexes in order. First up is Vista Way. Vista Way was the original, like the OG housing complex for Disney programs. A few of the pros with Vista Way is that it's the main central hub for buses, like the bus terminal basically, which means that all the buses go there, so you're definitely going to get on every bus because they all go there. And because it's the main bus terminal, rather than having to get on the bus and then head to the bus terminal in Vista, because sometimes the buses get to the terminal, wait for 10-15 minutes while they change drivers or have a break or something, and then set off. So you don't have to sit on the bus for no reason. You can literally stay in your apartment a little bit longer and come out when the bus is ready to set off. One of the best things about Vista is that you're right next door to a lot of dine-in food places. There's a few sit-down, like sports bars, if you will, and then there's like Wendy's, there's Chick-fil-A, there's, I believe, a Subway across the road, Dunkin' Donuts, and also there's a Walgreens right outside within walking distance, so if you need anything like any snacks or anything just to tide you over until your next grocery shop, you can just wander across there and get that as well. Another big pro for Vista Way is that their apartments don't have bunk beds, so you're not gonna get lumbered with a bunk bed like I was last year in Chatham. Now, I'm not 100% sure on this because I never actually wandered around Vista that much, but I believe they have 2 pools, which, if they still do, that's the only complex that has 2 pools. If I'm wrong, I'm sorry, just comment down below, let me know. Another kind of pro is that the laundry facilities are in the same building, so you don't have to walk to a separate outhouse that holds the laundry facilities. It's on the main, like the ground floor of every building, so you can, if you're upstairs, just walk downstairs, do your laundry, you're all good. You don't have to carry it all the way across the complex to wherever the laundry is. Few cons with Vista. It is the oldest complex, so it is quite dated. I'm gonna say this, pretty much all of them, apart from one, but we'll get into that later, are pretty dated. And yeah, but with this being the oldest out of the lot, you can kind of see where I'm going. Now, I did mention earlier on in a pro that it was the main bus terminal for the buses. That's where the con comes in, because majority of the bus routes pick up at the other complexes before heading to Vista Way, which might mean that all the seats are full on the bus, so you might have trouble either getting on or have to stand all the way to work as well. And spinning that as well, on your way home from work, it drops off at those other housing complexes first, so you're usually the last stop for majority. Some do interchange, some do stop at Vista first, but a lot of them go all the way around the complexes before getting you back home. And again, with the pros and cons switch, yes, the laundry is in the same building, but you have to pay for it. There is only one complex that includes the laundry facilities for free, but we'll tell you about that in just a second. And the last con, because it's out of the way from the other 3 complexes, if you're visiting friends or anything, or having to go to housing celebrations or parties or anything, you're gonna have to hop on the bus to get there. You can't just walk around the corner or next door like you can with the other 3. Alright, on to the commons. Now, the first big advantage with the Commons is what everyone really raves about. Laundry is in every apartment. You have a washer and a dryer in every apartment, and it's included with the price of rent. So you don't have to worry about paying to do laundry. You can just do it. I know friends that lived in Commons and washed their clothes like 5 or 6 times in a row because they had a stain that wouldn't come out. So they could just do that without having to pay every time. Another pro is they have an on-site store. So right where the bus drops you off, there's a store right there where you can pick snacks up or items, iced coffee, coffee as well. It's the only complex that has its own store. And another pro is you're right across the road from the premium outlets. Like, you come out of the Commons, walk across the road, and you're already in the parking lot for the premium outlets. Just cross that and you're right there. Now, a couple of cons with the Commons. With the bus routes, some buses are on call, so basically after a certain time at night, you have to either, if you're going somewhere, you have to call up and say, can you come pick me up from the Commons, or you have to walk down to Chatham to catch the bus. And on the way back, the same again, you have to remember to get on the bus and say, can you drop me at Commons? Otherwise, they won't. As I said earlier with Vista, they don't have bunk beds. You are going to get bunk beds in the rest of them, so for each of the following complexes, you're definitely going to get bunk beds. Alright, on to Chum Square for the pros. The first one is that majority of the housing parties and things are held there. Usually they're held on the field, which is right there, so all the service celebrations, when you graduate, any kind of big parties that they throw, they have it right on the field there, so you're right in housing party central, at least anyway. And you are right next to Mickey's Retreat, which, if you're not too sure what that is, that's a cast member only like private area. They have like a little beach, you can rent water sport equipment, pools, all different various activities that you can go do there. That's for cast members only, so you're right next door to that. Now, there's not too many cons that I can think of, but again, the laundry is not in the apartment and it's not in the building, it's actually in its own separate building, so you have to get your laundry, walk across out of the building, across the road to wherever the laundry building is, and then drag it all back as well, and you have to pay for it. It's not included with the rent like the Commons is. And I'm not too sure if this is much of a con, but the bus stop is outside the gates of the complex, so if you're outside and you're like, oh, I've forgotten something, I need to run back in, you have to go and show security your ID and just mess around with that. Not too much of a big deal, but it's a thing. And finally, on to Patterson Court. Now, Patterson Court is the newest of the complexes, so one of the pros is it's a lot nicer. And this could be a pro, this could be a con for people, but it's also one of the quieter complexes. They don't have any parties, they don't have fields for any kind of activities or sports or anything like that. So it is a lot quieter and I guess overall relaxing. The cons, once again, the laundry is in a separate building, so again you have to find where that is and take your laundry there. And you have to pay for it. But the biggest con with Patterson Court is it doesn't have a bus stop. I think there's only one bus that stops there, and that's like the Walmart post office bus, I believe. But the rest of them, you have to walk from Patterson Court to Chum Square, which from gate to gate, it's literally like 5 minutes. But it all depends on how easy you want things, I guess. Alright, so that's just a quick overview of a few pros and cons. Now I'm going to give you my personal opinion, because I've done a couple of programs now. The first time I stayed at Patterson Court, and the second time last summer I stayed at Chum Square. So I'm going to kind of compare those two. Obviously I can only compare the other ones of what I've seen visiting friends. But for living experiences, we're just going to compare these two. My experiences, all in all, it might be a bit controversial, but I preferred Patterson Court. For me, I'm not too sure if it was just Chum Square seemed really old and run down, whereas Patterson Court it's a lot newer. so it was really nicer. And when I was there, I didn't have a bunk bed. So that was probably a big thing for me. Personally, I didn't have a problem with having to walk from Patterson to Chatham to catch the bus. I always gave time to do it, and in all fairness, if you're like in Vista or Commons at the far end, it's probably just as long to walk from the back of the complex to the bus stop than it is to walk from your apartment in Patterson to the bus stop at Chatham. So it's not that big of a deal. Again, I can't really compare the Commons and Vista because I haven't stayed there, but again, from what I've seen, the Commons does look a bit run down like Chatham. I'm not too sure if I would want to stay there. If I was given the choice, again, to stay at any of the complexes, because I've already stayed at 2 of them, I probably would choose Vista Way over the Commons. Basically because the last summer when I was there, we spent a lot of time there. After work, we just wanted to grab food, and that was like the nearest food location that we could get to. So yeah, we spent a lot of time around there, basically just eating. I think that's where a majority of my paycheck went, actually. But yeah, there we go. That's a quick well, not really quick, but that's an overview of Disney housing. Now, I will say that Disney are building new housing at the moment, which I think they're going to start occupying next year, would be 2020. But we don't have much detail on that yet. I'm not too sure if they're leaving these 4 accommodations open or if they're going to close them completely and just use the new accommodation that they're building. But I guess we'll save that for another video when we have more details from Disney. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope it's been interesting for you, and I hope you've taken something from it if you're going on a program. Hopefully it's given you a little bit of insight so you can prioritize which housing complex you want. If you guys have been on a program before, let me know in the comments, which housing do you prefer and why? And if you've not been on a program yet, from what you know now, which of the 4 would you choose? But thank you so much for watching, if you've made it all the way to the end, that is. If you've not already done so, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, it'll help me out so much. I'm going to try and aim to get for 1,000 subs before this summer. And although I do try and keep my videos on a schedule, go ahead and click that notification bell and you'll be notified instantly as soon as my next video uploads. But thanks again guys, and as always, I'll see you real soon.